I said the gentlelady from Washington.
Thank you. Director Mueller, let's turn to the fifth of the obstruction episodes in your report, and that is the evidence of whether President Trump engaged in witness tampering with Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, whose foreign ties were critical to your investigation into Russia's interference in our elections. And this starts at volume 2, page 123. Your office got indictments against Manafort and Trump deputy campaign manager Rick Gates in 2 different jurisdictions, correct?
Correct.
And your office found that after a grand jury indicted them, Manafort told Gates not to plead guilty to any charges because, quote, he had talked to the president's personal counsel and they were going to take care of us. Is that correct?
That's accurate.
And according to your report, one day after Manafort's conviction on 8 felony charges, quote, the president said that flipping was not fair and almost ought to be outlawed. Is that correct?
I'm aware of that.
In this context, Director Mueller, what does it mean to flip?
Have somebody cooperate in a criminal investigation.
And how essential is that cooperation to any efforts to combat crime?
Well, I'm not going to go beyond that, characterizing that
Thank
effort.
you. In your report, you concluded that President Trump and his personal counsel, Rudy Giuliani, quote, made repeated statements suggesting that a pardon was a possibility for Manafort, while also making it clear that the president did not want Manafort to flip and cooperate with the government, end quote. Is that correct?
Correct.
And as you stated earlier, witness tampering can be shown where someone with an improper motive encourages another person not to cooperate with law enforcement. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, on page 123 of volume 2, you also discuss the president's motive, and you say that as court proceedings moved forward against Manafort, President Trump, quote, discussed with aides whether and in what way Manafort might be cooperating and whether Manafort knew any information that would be harmful to the president, end quote. Is that correct?
And that was a quote from?
From page 123, volume 2.
I have it. Thank you. Yes.
And when someone tries to stop another person from working with law enforcement and they do it because they're worried about what that person will say, it seems clear from what you wrote that this is a classic definition of witness tampering. Now, Mr. Manafort did eventually decide to cooperate with your office, and he entered into a plea agreement, but then he broke that agreement. Can you describe what he did that caused you to tell the court that the agreement was off?
I'd refer you to the court proceedings on that issue.
So on page 127 of volume 2, you told the court that Mr. Manafort lied about a number of matters that were material to the investigation, and you said that the Manafort's lawyers also, quote, regularly briefed the president's lawyers on topics discussed and the information that Manafort had provided in interviews with the special counsel's office. Does that sound right?
And the source of that is?
That's page 127, volume 2. That's a direct quote.
If it's from the report, yes, I'd support it.
And 2 days after you told the court that Manafort broke his plea agreement by lying repeatedly, did President Trump tell the press that Mr. Manafort was, quote, very brave because he did not flip? This is page 128 of volume 2.
If it's in the report, I support it as it is set forth.
Thank you. Director Mueller, in your report, you make a very serious conclusion about the evidence regarding the president's involvement with the Manafort criminal proceedings. Let me read to you from your report. Evidence concerning the president's conduct toward Manafort indicates that the president intended to encourage Manafort to not cooperate with the government. It is clear that the president both publicly and privately discouraged Mr. Manafort's cooperation or flipping while also dangling the promise of a pardon if he stayed loyal and did not share what he knew about the president. Anyone else who did these things would be prosecuted for them. We must ensure that no one is above the law. And I thank you for being here, Director Mueller. Yield back.